Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. harmonium has been around the block. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. So Maharaj ended with 53 and 4 yesterday, right? So this morning we'll take a look at Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4, Durvasa Muni's curse. And we'll start with 55 and 63 is our target. And 63 is kind of like the target of the whole chapter. As Maharaj did, I'll just read the English. There's a short purport in here, and then we'll chant text 63 together. So 55. When Durvasa, who was greatly afflicted by the blazing fire of the Sudarshan Chakra, was thus refused by Lord Brahma, he tried to take shelter of Lord Shiva, who always resides on his planet known as Kailasa. Lord Shiva said, "My dear son, I, Lord Brahma, and the other demigods who rotate within this universe under the misconception of greatness cannot exhibit any power to compete with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For innumerable universes and their inhabitants come into existence and are annihilated by the simple direction of the Lord." Srila Prabhupada's purport. There are innumerable universes in the material world, and there are innumerable Lord Brahmas, Lord Shivas, and other demigods. All of them rotate within this material world under the supreme direction. Oh, shucks. Oh, there they are. Getting old is not as much fun as advertised. All of them rotate within this material world under the supreme direction of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, no one is able to compete with the strength of the Lord. Lord Shiva also refused to protect Durvasa, for Lord Shiva also was under the rays of the Sudarshan Chakra sent by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Texts 57 through 59. Past, present, and future are known to me, Sanat Kumara, Narada, the most revered Lord Brahma, Kapila, the son of Devahuti, Apantaratama, Lord Vyasadeva, Devala, Yamaraj, Asuri, Marichi, and many saintly persons headed by him, as well as many others who have achieved perfection. Nonetheless, because we are covered by the illusory energy of the Lord, we cannot understand how expansive that illusory energy is. You should simply approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead to get relief, for this Sudarshan Chakra is intolerable even to us. Go to Lord Vishnu. He will certainly be kind enough to bestow all good fortune on you. I just want to take a quick note of Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur's very short commentary. Often, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur's tikas are in the form of a dialogue. We see this even in Bhagavad Gita. Apichet Sudurachara, there's a dialogue back and forth, and Krishna ultimately, says, I mean, how can we accept such people as saintly? They make horrible mistakes, but just because they're devoted to you, they're considered saintly. And Krishna says, because I do. So Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur has this, it's just 2 lines. How can you, who are omniscient, because Lord Shiva is admitted to being omniscient, knowing past, present, and future, Trikalagya, how can you who are omniscient be bewildered? And the response, though we know everything, we do not know the Lord's Maya. 60. Thereafter, being disappointed even in taking shelter of Lord Shiva, Durvasa Muni went to Vaikuntha Dham, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, resides with his consort, the goddess of fortune. Durvasa Muni, the great mystic, scorched by the heat of the Sudarshan Chakra, fell at the lotus feet of Narayana. You can almost imagine him running in all directions, all over the universe, and I kind of I hope silently, went to myself yesterday. It was like, whoop, 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 like in the cartoons, or maybe it was the Three Stooges or something. I don't know. That was a different. That was anyway. So kind of running around, and the Sudarshan Chakra is kind of like scorching at his, biting at his okole or something. Rear end. Durvasa Muni, the great mystic, scorched by the heat of the Sudarshan Chakra, fell at the lotus feet of of Narayana. His body trembling, he spoke as follows. O infallible, unlimited Lord, protector of the universe, protector of the entire universe, you are the only desirable objective for all devotees. I am a great offender, my Lord. Please give me protection. Krita Agasam, I'm the greatest offender. And 62. O Lord, O Supreme Controller, without knowledge of your unlimited prowess, I have offended your most dear devotee. Kindly save me from the reaction of this offense. You can do everything. For even if a person is fit for going to hell, you can deliver him simply by awakening within his heart the holy name of your Lordship. Oh, this is a big theme, right? Throughout the whole Bhagavatam, the holy name. We see that in the very last verse, that we offer our obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The chanting of whose holy name can deliver everybody. Okay, text 63. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. I'm not going to do one at a time because I have a big agenda, and I have to keep reminding myself that I don't have to do it all today, because these actually 6 verses that kind of carry out this theme, but these 3 verses over the next, today and tomorrow and Wednesday, all give me an opportunity to explore this. Aham bhakta paradhino yasvantantra ivadvija sadhubhir grasta hridayo bhaktair bhakta janapriya. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Aham bhakta paradhino yasvatantra ivadvija sadhubhir grasta hridayo bhaktair bhakta janapriya. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Aham bhakta paradhino Yasvatantra eva dvija sadhubhir gastar hridayo bhaktair bhakta jana priya. Others, please. Vaishnavis. Now we have balance. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said to the Brahmana, I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent. Because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires, I sit only within the cores of their hearts. What to speak of my devotee, even those who are devotees of my devotee are very dear to me. Responsively, please. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said to the Brahmana, I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent. Because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires, I sit only within the cores of their hearts. What to speak of my devotee, even those who are devotees of my devotee, are very dear to me. Srila Prabhupada's purport. All the great stalwart personalities in the universe, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, are fully under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is fully under the control of his devotee. Did anyone notice the word in the, other than Dravida maybe, the word in the verse that makes that point? Anyone? Asvatantra. one of the Lord's names is Svatantra, means he's independent. I'm going to stick a pin in that. We're going to come back to that. But he says, I'm asvatantra. I'm certainly not at all independent. Why is this? Because the devotee is anyabhilashita shunya. In other words, he has no material desires in his heart. Oh God, all of a sudden other verses are coming into my head. I'm going to get confused. This verse and purport are just so wonderful, so rich. His only desire is to think always of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and how to serve Him best. Because of this transcendental qualification, the Supreme Lord is extremely favorable to the devotees. Indeed, not only to the devotees, but also the devotees of the devotees. Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Parecha Keba. Without being a devotee of a devotee, one cannot be released from material entanglement. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu identified himself as Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayo Dasa Dasanudasa. Thus he instructed us not to become directly servants of Krishna, but servants of the servant of Krishna. Devotees like Brahma, Narada, Vyasadeva, and Shukadev Goswami are directly servants of Krishna. But one who becomes a servant of Narada, Vyasadeva, and Shukadev, like the 6 Goswamis, is still more devoted. I'm sorry? And one who becomes a servant of Narada, Vyasadeva, and Shukadev, like the 6 Goswamis, is still more devoted. Not my editing. Oh, did I say but? I like and. Did I say but? I think they both work. I like and. Hey, I will not be accused. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur therefore says, Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasadaha. If one very sincerely serves the spiritual master, Krishna certainly becomes favorable to such a devotee. Following the instructions of a devotee is more valuable than following the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. Om Jnana Timirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukhaṁ Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkrapa Tamahang Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitang Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Aham Bhakta Paradhino Yasvatantra Iva Dvija Sadhu Birgrasta Hridayo Bhaktar Bhakta Jana Priya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said to the Brahmana, I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent. Because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires, I sit only within the cores of their hearts. What to speak of my devotee, even those who are devotees of my devotee are very dear to me. So this is this can be a kind of a startling statement But this is actually the whole point of this chapter, to point out the glories of Krishna's devotees. And those glories are so inestimably great that even those who are devoted to his devotees are very dear to Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada ends the purport by saying, following the instructions of a devotee is more valuable than following the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. So that reminds me a little bit of the theory behind homeopathic medicine. If there's some healing quality in a plant or a mineral or something like that, they triturate it. They kind of dilute it. So a lot of the homeopathic, like if you go to Sprouts, I think they have a little area with like, what's it, Boiron? Those little vials of little tiny pills that dissolve under your tongue. And generally, a lot of people get like 6x. That means it's been triturated or kind of diluted 6 times. And the more you do that, the more powerful, according to their theory, it becomes. And some of the more powerful things you get will be like 1C, which means triturated 100 times. So this is really, really supposed to be very powerful, even though there's probably no discernible trace of that element in the medicine. It's a mystery. I do have experience, though. I used to carry, I think, Arnica 6X when I was teaching at the Gurukul at Bhaktivedanta Village. In the summers, spring and summer, when things warmed up, the playtime after classes would be down at the Kauai River. And so on the other side of the river, still on our property, but on the other side from where all the dwellings were built, there was actually a sandy beach. But on the side where we generally kind of hung out, we'd come down the trail, it's all rocky, and kids were hurting themselves. And I saw a kid smash his thumb with a rock, 8 or 9-year-old kid. Oh no, it was Madhavendra Pur. I think he was 6 or 7. And he was just screaming his head off. So I whipped out my homeopathic arnica, got out, I think, maybe 3 or 4 little pills, put them under his tongue. Boom, the pain was gone. And we had experience with poison ivy there as well, because, I mean, not poison ivy, poison oak. Poison ivy's back east. And poison oak was everywhere. And so kids and the teachers were always getting poison oak. And there's, I don't remember what the thing is, but I guess it's like triturated poison oak stuff, poison oak sap or something. And it would actually clear the poison oak relatively. It would clear relatively more quickly than if we didn't do anything to it. Just put some calamine or whatever on it to keep the itching down. So it kind of reminds me of that the more removed we see ourselves from direct service to the Lord, the more we're devoted to devotees of Krishna's devotees, who are devotees of Krishna's devotees. I heard Srila B.R. Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada's godbrother, once say, we put ourselves in the 5th position. There's Krishna, and then there's his devotee, and the devotees of his devotees, and then the devotees of his devotees. So we find ourselves in that 5th position, the safest position. So Srila Prabhupada cites Lord Chaitanya. Nahang vipro nacha narapatir napi vaishana shudro nahang varni nacha gruhapatir navanasto yatirva kintu prodin nikila paramananda purnamritabter gopi bhartupada kamalayar dasa dasa anudasa. Chaitanya dasa mui Chaitanya das. Chaitanya dasa mui dasa anudas. I am the follower of the devotee of his devotee. So this is actually amazing glorification of the devotees. Now, Krishna says here, I am not at all independent. That's at odds with what we, well, kind of at odds, I was thinking, and now I'm rethinking that, with something we see at the beginning of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Madhurya Kadambini. I don't think I'm going to try to read it. Madhurya Kadambini is a little book Vishwanath Chakravarti composed that traces out how the 9 different stages of bhakti that Srila Rupa Goswami outlined in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, from Shraddha to Prema, how they look, at least how they might have looked in India 350 years ago, so that we understand how bhakti works. But before he gets to the 9 different stages of bhakti, he wants to point out something about the nature of bhakti itself. So at first he presents a rather extended and a little rather complex argument establishing just how independent Krishna is, which is absolutely independent, right? Swatantra. So, and then he does that simply to make the point that Bhakti Devi is every bit as independent as Krishna, and she can go wherever she darn well pleases. And here's how she chooses. Here's how she chooses to where she goes. Bhakti takes shelter in the heart of the devotees who receive her from other devotees. And when those devotees mature to Madhyama Bhaktas, who have proper discrimination, they're able to distinguish between the Lord, the devotees, those who are innocent, it means they just haven't yet received bhakti in their hearts, and those who are inimical, and behave accordingly. So they love the Lord, they make friends with the devotees, they're compassionate, kind to the innocent, and they neglect those who are inimical. They don't spend time debating with them. They may do it occasionally to make a show to the devotees, just to kind of like poke holes in atheistic philosophy. But they don't really have time for that, because there are so many innocent souls whose hearts are open, just as I discovered in rural Idaho last week. Little towns of 249 people, pardon me. I'm exaggerating the size of Donnelly, Idaho, or McCall, 3,600 people. And my friend Tulsi Krishna has lived there for several years. She grew up in Idaho, and she's lived in that area for several years, and she knows one other vegetarian. She's met one other vegetarian. And there aren't even any, like, Eastern thought places. There's no Buddhist centers, no meditation places, no Vipassana or Zendos or anything like that in that part of Idaho. And still, when we go there, we find people with open hearts. It was just, it was just amazing. So when a Madhyama Bhakta who's inclined to preach, not exactly my favorite word, because it's kind of burdened with connotations that aren't so sweet. When I think of preaching, what are we really doing when we're preaching? We're just sharing. Now it sounds a little fuzzy and wishy-washy or something like that, but all we're really doing is sharing whatever bhakti we have, or at least, if we don't feel like we have much bhakti, whatever faith we have in bhakti with others. And if their hearts are ready to receive that, and we actually are able to make a connection with them because we're actually feeling compassionate, they're going to accept it. And something will start to change in their heart. A lot of the people, we find that the reason they're receptive is because they've been exposed to bhakti before. I've worked with so many devotees, especially over the last few years, and it's become really clear to me, this is not their first kirtan, right? Like we say, this is not my first rodeo. This is not their first kirtan. Because very new devotees come up with very profound questions. Just like last night, this young Russian woman, Daria, asked me a really profound question. And, you know, she actually spoke my five of my favorite words in the English language. Maharaj, I have a question. And I think, okay, here we go. Now I'm alive. Now I got to wake up. So Bhakti Devi, she puts herself in the hands of those devotees. And wherever they show mercy, she follows. And guess what? It's game over right there. It's just a matter of what the timing is, how the timer is set on the microwave or whatever, you know, on the toaster. And why is that? Because only Bhakti has the power to draw us near to Krishna. Only Bhakti has the power to show us Krishna. Only Bhakti has the power to control Krishna. Therefore, Bhakti is the most powerful thing of all. As I mentioned yesterday, Srila Jiva Goswami cites this verse from something called the Matara Shruti. I have found no citation or nothing anywhere. I haven't tried any of the AI bots because I keep getting bum leads when I ask them for stuff like this. But I have found no evidence of just exactly what the Matara Shruti is. But the name Shruti in it makes it sound to me as if it's a Vedic text. Matara. Not Mathura. Matara Shruti. M-A-T, maybe H-A-R-A? A-R-A. So he cites this, and I often lose one of the padas in that verse, so I didn't trot out the Sanskrit. So Jiva Goswami cites this as evidence that Bhakti is the most powerful force there is. So when Bhakti Devi invades your heart, it's like a virus. And if we're not careful, just like 3-4 years ago, if we weren't careful, if someone got the virus, it could spread, right? Like wildfire. I remember when I would go somewhere in the car, I would put on Hawaii Public Radio, and you always hear the numbers. So many cases reported on Oahu, and so many fatalities. So many on Kauai, and so many fatalities. So many on Maui, so many on Hawaii Island. And so it spread like wildfire. And this is the whole point Srila Prabhupada wrote in his 7 purposes for the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, for going to the trouble to establish ISKCON. And this is why devotees work very hard to try to maintain and, if possible, grow ISKCON. In a way, we want to grow it in a way that actually grows this kind of faith in bhakti. We want to become infected. Okay, we're infected. Here we are. We're quarantined here in this little building in Pacific Beach. But we want to spread this virus. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that in this way, Krishna has deputed the Madhyama Bhaktas who are inclined to preach, who are inclined to share their bhakti with others. Because what happens when you share bhakti? You get more, it grows. It's not like it becomes depleted, like your bank account. If you're giving money away, it's like Bill Gates is working hard to give away all his money before he turns 80 or something like that. I can't remember. He wants to have given away all but 1% of his wealth by a certain age. Saw a thing on Facebook about a woman who had been teaching at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Is that New York? I just kind of noticed this thing. And her husband was a friend of Warren Buffett's and a co-investor of Warren Buffett's. And when he died, he left her $1 billion. And he said, he didn't give any instructions. He didn't say, this is for you, or, this is for the whatever. He says, do what you think best. And what did she do? She gave that entire $1 billion to the Albert Einstein School of Medicine, which she said had been her home, so that no student who was admitted to that medical school would ever have to worry about student debt. There's no, you don't have to qualify financially or anything. Anyone who's admitted, they get the whole thing for free. Instead of coming out of medical school with $250 million in debt, so that they've got to try to be a heart surgeon or a neurosurgeon or something like that just to pay off their darn student loans. They can practice in whatever field they feel is going to be most beneficial. They can be pediatricians in rural Idaho and not have to worry about that cloud hanging over their head. So when the devotees share bhakti, she increases in their hearts more and more. Give me more, Anior, give me more. Not give me more, but give me more. Give me away more. So this is the whole point. And if we read those, maybe I'll do that tomorrow, those 7 purposes for which Srila Prabhupada established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. If we actually understand that, then what we will want to do is to make every ISKCON center, every ISKCON satellite, every little preaching center, whatever's going on, so attractive that people who have any inclination, who maybe even people who just have some doubts about the material world, will find a home there, will find shelter. What was my theme last night? Give me shelter. And we want to be able to afford shelter to everyone, just like this woman who, gave her entire bequest from her husband, $1 billion bequest, to this school of medicine, so thousands of medical students will be affected by that, and millions of people's lives will be affected by those medical students. So we want that kind of multiplication. Okay, there's a whole bunch more, and I was hoping I would be able to fit in a little time to read about Saranga Thakur, but I'm over time already, so I'll stop here for. Yes.
If you allow me, there's a little tiny paragraph about the Matara Shruti, which I think is
okay.
coding. That's just through Google. Google us.
Just Google.
Significance of the Matara Shruti. Matara Shruti, as referenced by Sri Madhvacharya, is an ancient scripture that emphasizes the importance of devotional service in establishing a connection with the personality of Godhead. Can't argue with that. This scripture encapsulates the essence of devotion and service, highlighting its role in the spiritual practices advocated by Vaishnavism. Through Matara Shruti, practitioners gain insights into nurturing their relationship with the divine through sincere and devoted service. Not bad.
I've searched Google. If you'll indulge me, thank you. That's wonderful. That boom. I'm going to try to find that. If you'll indulge me, I wanted to share Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on this verse as well, because although we see how Srila Prabhupada's purports are very often very strongly influenced, and sometimes he just sort of paraphrases Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Vishwanath gets right to the point sometimes. So this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's, because I wanted to get this before we move on to 64, but I got carried away with my other little thing there. Just as Brahma and Shiva cannot save you because they are dependent on me, so I also am dependent and cannot save you. And then, so again, here we've got the dialogue going. So he imagines Durvasa saying, you become dependent on your devotees by your nature, But this is not desired by the devotees. You are thus independent. The response, that is true. I am independent, but by my will, I become dependent on my devotees because I cannot give up my various sentiments toward them. This is expressed by the word iva. But seeing my suffering, Durvasa, you do not become compassionate. Narayan, that is true. I do not have such a quality in my mind. My heart is controlled by the best devotees without desire even for liberation. Seeing that liberation which I want to give them, seeing that liberation which I want to give them is not attractive to them, I forcefully give my own heart. Accepting that, they make that one with their own hearts and fix it there with devotion. Tied by ropes of affection. I'm going to get to that verse tomorrow, I think. I hope. The Lord's mercy follows the mercy of the devotees. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the same thing in Madhurya Kadambini, that Bhakti Devi follows the mercy of the devotees. Wherever they show kindness, she follows them. This is well known to all people and is known to you. Those protected by devotees are dear to me. What to speak of the devotees themselves? Oh, ignorant Brahmana, do you not consider this? Okay, any other questions or further discussion? I love this stuff. This is...
The whole pastime was engineered by Krishna just so that these verses could come out, because they're really central verses.
Yeah.
This one and the next few is.
Yeah, this is such an important, point that's made throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. We see it, as I pointed out last night, in the 11th canto. And as we'll see, I was mistaken. I was thinking this was Krishna's instruction to Uddhava, but this was Havi, one of the Navi-Yogendras, speaking to King Nimi. Mukunda?
Hare Krishna. Now, by my comment or question, I'm going to kind of out myself in a certain way, but not as homosexual, but in other ways.
We love vulnerability.
Not as homosexual, but I'll out myself in other ways, other things. So, first of all, I was encouraged by your talk, the way that it was optimistic. I was encouraged by the optimism of it, that bhakti is contagious, and so you were emphasizing that's only a matter of time, and it does spread so easily. It will spread, and you gave the example of 2020, 2021. You're there, you're locked in somewhere, you're listening to the news, you're checking the numbers, and you're hearing the numbers are increasing, the numbers are increasing. It's spreading. And I was thinking, ironically, I was also thinking it's a very fitting example, because I felt in 2020, 2021 that I keep hearing the numbers are increasing, it's spreading. So it's only a matter of time until everything is taken over. It's only a matter of time, and it never happened. And so I was thinking with Krishna consciousness too, I keep hearing it's spreading. If you just tune into like the yearly reports from your GBC and the ISKCON news, and it's spreading, it's only a matter of time. Look at the numbers. But then sometimes you wonder, okay, a year goes by, another year goes by, and is it spreading? Is it really taking over? And it's totally true that when you look at the Shastra, that it is optimistic. Every reason is there to be optimistic, but then I wonder what's lacking. Are we just like changing what qualifies as a case of Krishna consciousness in order to fudge the numbers? Like, what is it? What do you think?
I won't name any names. Yeah, I know. All you have to do is just walk down to Sprouts, right? And you got 1, 2, 3 bars, especially on the weekend. You got that one bar on the corner just before Sprouts. And everybody's there. You got the smokers outside and everybody's sitting. And you got 5 TVs in there with 5 different sports events. And you're thinking, what the heck? I thought we were trying. I thought we were getting somewhere. We had a pretty good crowd. It wasn't like an astounding crowd last night, but But it was a pretty good crowd, really good souls. So it's when we read the third verse of the Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamrita, as far as practicing bhakti, he advises 6 things, and I'm not alone. I've had other sannyasi godbrothers. I've heard classes. I've been in classes where they've actually emphasized the first 3: utsahan nischayat dhairyat, enthusiasm, confidence, and patience. So, we need to be confident in the power of bhakti, and understand that those who are innocent and aren't too intoxicated with material desire will hear. And sometimes even those who are. Sometimes there are these kind of like special cases, right? Like Putana. Of course, I mean, she's an extreme case, where Krishna just independently, gives her bhakti, because she was wearing a Hare Krishna. She was wearing a devotee costume, wearing a Brijbasi nursemaid costume. So it will happen. Will everyone become Krishna conscious? Not necessarily, because there are people who have this samskara that makes them very profoundly inimical to the personality of Godhead, and you just move on to the next customer. One of my godbrothers from Hawaii, Harivalava, spent some time selling encyclopedias door to door for some company, I can't remember what, but he got trained in door-to-door book distribution. And there's ways to try to get people's attention, get them to say yes, ask questions that get them to say yes, and then you get them used to saying yes and over. But most of the time, you're going to find someone who a no is going to come up, and you don't waste time because there's another house next door. So Prabhupada used to say, you'll find brahmanas on every street corner. When we go out on streets, what Srila Prabhupada in my initiation letter anyway referred to as street sankirtan, we would try to create some kind of ajnata sukriti by vibrating the holy names as heartfully as we could, and as loud because we were young, and hope that would affect some people. And it does. I know of one devotee who, when I met her, said, "Oh yeah, my first exposure to Hare Krishna devotees was when I was on vacation. I went on vacation in Hawaii in the summer of 1970. And I said, "Oh, I was one of those kids." And then I found out later they were appalled. She and her friend were appalled because we were just so weird. A bunch of skinny kids in orange polyester sheets dancing around on Kalakaua Avenue, barefoot, bare-chested. Now this person is a practicing devotee, a solid devotee. So it's going to happen. The people, those who are susceptible, and some maybe who don't seem so susceptible, will somehow be affected. And it doesn't necessarily have to happen in this lifetime, in our lifetimes. Dravid and I are pushing the edge of the envelope here, moving in close on 80. And so it may not happen in our lifetimes or your lifetimes, or maybe even this kalpa. But the next time, the next time those souls come, they're going to get a little bit more. They're going to get a little bit more. And eventually, you're going to reach that critical mass when they just say, "Oh, okay, I'm in." Is that okay?
Yeah, you kept it encouraging. Thank you.
I'm trying to encourage myself. Dravida Prabhu.
30-second comment. You quoted that Utsahan Nishayat Daryat verse. Those 3 are, but that none of them make any sense without the 4th one. Because enthusiastic for what? Tat tat karma bhavat. Patient for what? Tat tat karma bhavat. So those, they're all, it's nicely arranged that they all.
Good point. Thank you. Excellent. Okay, thank you all so much for your attention and your patience. Grantaraja Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Go to Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.